Hello, I'm Steve. A little about myself. I'm a retired law enforcement officer with 20 years of service. I began my career in the jail, worked the road, and became an investigator. During my career, my training consisted of everything from SWAT to becoming a state certified crime scene technician. I've investigated crimes from thefts to homicides. After retiring and becoming aware of true crime and web sleuths, I started my channel for web sleuths to better understand the perspectives of law enforcement. Not only do we cover true crime, I go out into the field and assist families who have lost loved ones to homicide and their cases are considered cold. Join me as we look and bring attention to these critical cases.
Hello, everyone. Sorry about the late start, but as always, it happens occasionally that we have technical difficulties. And tonight, of course, having Ruckus, I expected nothing less. But I've got a special guest tonight. We're just going to be talking about some of the cold cases that are out there and where we're heading out onto the road this coming up week. I'm going to spend about 5 days and several thousand miles in a vehicle with Ruckus, and which is I take serving some time for things I have done in my past. But hopefully we'll have some good times on the road, and we'll be able to share some stuff with you as we travel up into Pennsylvania and then head over to Indiana. But appreciate y'all being here tonight. As always, it's a little bit different tonight. Mrs. Steve isn't here to take your questions. So I'll be trying to keep up with chat. Ruckus will be here. And so y'all just ask us anything and everything. We're going to be talking about a few of the cold cases we're currently have been covering and some of the news that's out there right now. But anyway, with that being said, let me get Ruckus in here. Hello, sir.
Hey, Steve, I am so sorry. Did I mess your stuff up again?
Yes. I don't know what it is about you, buddy. But
I put the whammy on it, I guess. It was working fine right up until you got ready to go live.
45 seconds till I got a message that my mic had shut down, and it was a Ruckus Category 5 event.
On the Richter scale.
On the Ruckus scale of what could happen, and it happened. I can't wait until picking you up at, I think at 7:30 in the morning, and we head out on the road. And you're coming into Atlanta this time. Last time you went into Indianapolis, but this time you're coming into Atlanta. So we're going to spend a little bit more time together.
And my job is one thing and one thing only, and that's to protect the national treasure. Make sure you don't get scratched or bruised or anything like that.
Oh, yeah. I have my, I told Mrs. Steve earlier about my to-do list that you sent me that you needed a distilled water for your
CPAP.
The CPAP machine, and also that you needed a jacket for going up and it's going to be cold. And I got your blankie and I got everything ready for you. And
yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I have to take care of my security.
And by distilled water, it needs to be 1,000,000-year-old glacial water distilled by tribes of Incas.
I understand.
Yeah.
Some of the people here, like I said, this if you're new to our channel, normally we have a scripted presentation that we go through about a specific case. This week, as we move and get ready to go out on the road, decided just to spend some time with Ruckus, talk about some of the cold cases that we've covered recently. And if you have any questions about any of the developments that have occurred, we'll be glad to talk to y'all about it. We've got a bunch of packing to do in about an hour or so. Ruckus got to finish up with his, and I got to finish up with mine. But while you're in chat, be mindful and be respectful of the families, mods, and each other. And I'll try to get to all your questions the best I can. And Ruckus, while going through chat right quick, give them a little brief introduction to who you are.
All right. My name's Ruckus. As you can probably tell by my accent, I'm originally from Boston. Don't hold that against me. I had nothing to do with that. I moved when I was 18. I really ain't been back since. I went in the Air Force. I got out, and they're hiring in in detentions. So I got a job with the state of Florida, moved to Florida, and worked death row for 4 years. And I took the crossover and I transferred over to the county, and I was the deputy for the rest of my time. So I'm retired here in Florida. I live near the Tampa area, so it's not too bad. Every once in a while we get a hurricane come through here, but I don't have half the experience that Steve does, but I make up for it with my bullshitting.
Now, working in detention and in correctionals and on the road, which part of that did you find? Was there one part more challenging and one part more rewarding than the other?
I hated death row. Death row was boring. It was boring. And when I finally retired from the sheriff's office, I had actually moved into booking. And that was the best job that I had in my whole career. I enjoyed booking. It was like 50-50, and didn't have to deal with a lot of the crap, got to learn a lot, and didn't have the downtime and then the holy shit time. You know what I'm talking about. It's quiet, it's quiet, it's quiet, and then bam, everything blows up. Didn't have much of that, so I enjoyed that. So I hated death row. That was boring. It was interesting, but it was boring, and I really enjoyed booking.
Yeah, I started off my career pretty similar to yours. I went into the jail, and my father. I'm a second generation law enforcement officer, and following footsteps of my father, he said, "Go into the jail, learn how to deal with those people, because once you learn how to deal with them, it's going to be the same people that when you get on the road, that's who you're going to be dealing with." And he
Mm-hmm.
was correct. I mean, there's
Oh
no
yeah.
difference, and they're all cast out of the same material. You have different levels of criminals, classifications, and they have their own um, pattern of how they behave in jail and how they behave on the streets and how their families, um, you know, it's it is a very strange way of living that some of these criminals have, um, and some of them are extremely dangerous. Some of them are not, and that's something else about the jails. You can put yourself in a certain situation and you can create danger, but it's not like that the jails, or at least where I was at, that everyone in there was looking to absolutely commit homicide every moment of the day. That wasn't the case. Now, if you went in certain areas, that might be the case, but you just didn't put yourself in those positions.
Yeah, well, you had yours was like a little flip flop because I worked for the state Department of Corrections. Well, then I became a deputy. Well, then I went into booking, so it was kind of the opposite. All the people that I had known that I dealt with it on the streets, now they see me in booking, they double take me. So what the hell? I thought you died. I hadn't seen you in 2 years. So a lot of them were glad too that I was in booking.
Oh yeah, one of these days we need to go through our stories of our most laughable moments, because we all had those moments in our careers. We had highlights, and then we had moments that we look back and you just shake your head and think, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah, I did that a lot.
Oh yeah, well my commanders did that a lot. That I
Sure.
can't believe that we do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure that I'm responsible for at least one or two policy changes.
Oh, I'll show you my policy book when I first started, and then when I retired. There's about 500 pages of difference.
And you're probably the cause of it.
Not all of them.
Okay, 5, 6 pages, you're not.
All right, here's a good question for you. Mind of Monster. True Crime Web. Does Mr. Ruckus help with missing cases? I have a case that needs any help we can get out of St. Pete. Very sad case. You want to answer that, Ruckus?
Absolutely. If it's out of St. Pete, yeah, absolutely. Send me an email. If you go to my page, it's there, but it's Ruckus Rocks TCP, like True Crime Podcast, at gmail.com. Send me an email and I'll take a look at it for you.
And this is some of my group. They have renamed my channel to the True Culinary Web. Starts in about 40 minutes. On the Morning Watch, we talk about crime, and then eventually it goes to food.
Waffle House.
Yeah. Let's see here. But anyway, I'm just trying to get caught up in chat, guys. I appreciate everybody being in here. There's Copper Horse, Persevere, Alley Cat, um, Don Spain, GP, Molly, Necessary Evil, Mind of Monsters. Just everybody. Appreciate y'all being here. Um, well, let's talk about. I got a couple of cases that we're going. Of course, everyone knows the Delphi homicides. If you have any information on this case, absolutely make sure law enforcement has it, because the trial is moving forward as we speak and going towards a trial date. I don't think it's going to be in January. I don't even know if it's going to be next year, or if at all. But if you have any information on this case, make sure that they absolutely know them. If you have any questions on this case, we'll be glad to take those. And also, if you have any information about the Idaho homicides of Madison, Kaylee, Ethan, and Zana, absolutely make sure that the prosecution defense has that information too on them, for the fact that that's rapidly moving towards a trial. And of course, they have some new information that came out about some of the witnesses and what's been going on this week. So if you have any questions on that. And this is a case that another case that I've been working on quite a while, the Amber Crumb case, and I brought Ruckus on board, and Ruckus and Larry hit it out of the park on this case. They became good friends and are good friends, and I look forward to doing some more work on this later this year and early next year. We went out and actually this next week, while we're on the road, we'll be going by the lab, and we did a search this summer, and in a depression found in a crawl space that had lime and charcoal in it, we found a bone that we had analyzed, sent it off to the lab, came back. It came back non-human, came to a pig. Why a pig bone is in a depression in a crawl space, I have no idea, but the team and I are discussing that possibilities of why it would be there. But we will continue the search for Amber as we move further along. And of course, this is another case that I most certainly appreciate Ruckus being a part of. He's gone up there with me in the past, and we'll be going in the future, probably sometime later this winter before the first snowfall, if we can, or it may even be next spring. But absolutely, this is a case that if you have any information on, Ruckus did a fantastic show last night with Drew. Tell us about a few of the highlights last night and some of the takeaways you had of talking to Drew last night, Ruckus.
Well, Drew and I have formed a friendship as well, and I was able to talk to him and explain to him, just for my short time on YouTube. I've only been around not even a year yet, but all the cases and all the creators that I've seen and all the lives that I've seen, nobody really talks too much about what the victims' families are actually going through. So I asked Drew if he was willing to come on and talk about that, and he said absolutely. So that's what we talked about: the ups and downs, um, the case that looked like there was a break in it and then there wasn't, and the same thing with Larry's. You know, Larry just went through this as well. Somebody saying that she was his daughter when she was not, and Drew just went through something in his case. So we just kind of want to bring to the foreground that, you know, what the families are actually going through. It's easy for us to sit here and watch. They're actually hurting day after day after day. And when there's movement in a case and then it turns out to be nothing, you know, you get these highs and then you go lower than low again. You know, I don't know how him and Larry do it, to be honest, Steve. I mean, we both know they're strong men and they're good guys, but man, they're both better men than I am. They survive a lot better than I would if I'd lost a family member.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, one of the most touching things, and when I've interviewed them, one of the hardest things you never hear is a man say that, such as what Larry told me one time. I think it's during our first interview I had with him, that someone asked, did he have any other children? And he said, well, I couldn't protect the first one. Why would I want to protect? Why would I want to try to have another child? Which is absolutely heartbreaking for any father or man or protector of his family can ever say. And It's just something that I would have never thought of, and I and all the victims I've ever worked with in other cases, I'd never seen that perspective. And same with Drew when talking to him that, he brought up the point one time that it's so hard when a child is missing before you even that it is worst case that are they hungry, are they warm, uh, 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 what type of harm, things of that nature, and it's absolutely heartbreaking.
Hmm. And he went into detail last night, and none of that was scripted. Outside of, hey, Drew, here's what I'd like to talk about. The impact on the victim's family. But he shared with the people in chat last night. He openly shared how it destroyed his relationship, how it's affected the other siblings and stuff like that, his family, his mom, all that. He shared all of that. I mean, he just wide ass open. He just let it all out and told everybody what was going on. It was really it was heartbreaking to listen to, even though I've known him and I've talked with him, but realizing that all these people were hearing all this for the first time, it kind of got to me.
Thank you, Brenda, for your $10 super sticker. It means a lot to us. We're going on the road this coming up week. Like I said, I'm picking up Ruckus at 7:30 in the morning. We're going to be heading north up to Pennsylvania. And one of our friends, good supporter of mine, and I've met him up there. When I went back, I think it was when I took the bone up to the lab for DNA analysis, referenced the Amber Crumb case. Um, I met Sean up there, and we went over and had some cop food, coffee and donuts, and had a good time talking to him. Enjoyed meeting him, and he's been over to Delphi several times. Very knowledgeable about the case. Has met the family, and so we'll be up this week, Sean. Hopefully, I'll be coming through the same area on Thursday midday sometime. So I'll get on the phone, and I know you. I checked messages today, and I have multiple phones. Is that not correct, Ruckus?
Yeah, but about five, I believe.
And so I get behind on my phone calls and phone tags. And so anyway, I checked and I saw where you had called, and I'll give you a call after uh, I go. We're going up near Philadelphia. I'm going to a DNA lab there. I've got to drop off some new DNA, reference a new case that I'm working, that some evidence has developed. And so we're submitting it for analysis. And hopefully this DNA lab is a little bit different than our last cold case DNA. They said it would be 3 months, and it was actually almost 4 months before getting information back on that DNA case. On this one, with this lab and the type of testing they're doing, they said it'd be about 2 weeks. Um, so I'm looking forward to getting that information back as soon as possible. But after we drop that new DNA for this newest cold case evidence that we found, and then we head over and pick up the bone from the other case, and then we'll head to Indiana. Um, but just want to give everybody a heads up for where we're doing and what's going on.
Yeah, if Sean, if I do get to meet up with you, which I look forward to, if you have any piece of electronic equipment that you do not want damaged, don't bring it near me, because everything I get near breaks, doesn't it, Steve?
I'm telling you, and
Yeah.
uh, and he's not embarrassed to break your stuff at any moment. Uh, you know, yeah,
Yeah. There's no
yeah,
no such thing as a good time or bad time for me to
yeah.
tear something up.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Let's see if we can. What does this switch do? What happens if I plug this in?
Yeah. How
And
come I don't have a signal? I'm standing in the shadow of a tower. How come I don't have a signal but you do? Stuff like that. Now, Rescue All the Dogs makes a good point, and I think she hit the nail on the head.
what did
She
you
said
say?
you she said you have 5 phones. You must use a phone for each app that you have. So if you get another app, you're gonna have to get another phone.
What's an app?
Yeah, right.
Oh me. Oh goodness. Y'all are too funny, guys. Purdue RN has a question for both. Do you think there would be more arrests in Delphi?
Absolutely.
Ruckus? You do?
Yes.
As far as in what aspect is it going to be something involved with the cover up of assisting after crime or pre-crime or at the crime scene itself?
At this point, from everything that I've seen and heard, to me, this is an abduction gone wrong, and there's at least a conspiracy charge coming, at the very least.
Okay. And I agree with you. I think, you know, I think the homicide itself, the longer it goes without an arrest, I'm going more and more personally towards a lone wolf. But I think there has to be some other involvement as far as of people that might have tried to cover up or destroy some evidence, obstruction, maybe. But I'm looking at it from that point. As far as the crime scene itself, I don't. I think everything could be done from what we've seen of the search warrants and even what the latest 136-page document that was released. I think all that can be done um, within the time frame that it occurred by one person. Doesn't
You
mean
proved
one
that.
person did it, but I think it could
Yeah.
be.
You got a blue light for I-43, Pammy.
Okay. I'm searching for it now.
Okay.
People have to.
No, I understand. I do the same thing you do. I know how easy it is. I don't have a Mrs. Steve. I wish I did. My wife doesn't want anything to do with helping me.
Well, I mean, after you break all her stuff, I can
Yeah,
see why.
right. She doesn't have much left. We've been married 37 years. She doesn't have much stuff left. I just got to make sure I don't break the pots and pans and stuff like that.
Absolutely. I'm trying to find the latest, but like I said, if y'all have any questions, throw them in the chat, and hopefully I'll get there and find them for you. No guarantees. There's Bill Bonds in here. Good to see you, Leanna. Let's see. There's Dave.
Oh boy, we're gonna get to the Waffle House now,
Oh no,
Dave.
he got another case. Absolutely, Dave. You send anything and everything you have. Absolutely. Um, Look at here, Cold Truth. I would like to meet up with you guys when you're in Indiana. Absolutely. We'll it'll probably be at least the weekend. We'll be passing through, and uh, I'll get in touch with you. Thank you.
And for those that you don't know who LA is, he's a buddy of mine, and he's met Steve. He's a good guy. He has a channel as well, LA Willips. Cold Truth knows who he is as well. We're actually going to meet up with him tomorrow night, which is going to be kind of cool.
I-43 Pammy, $20 super sticker. Thank you. Appreciate that. I'll use that to replace some of the equipment that Ruckus is going to tear up this week.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have been concerned about your plane ride, but I've told them that they pin notes on you with emergency numbers on your shirt, and so that hopefully you've got my number, and they'll put that on there in case anything, if they need to get in touch with me.
Yeah, if something happens to me on this flight, dude, you might as well just cancel your trip, because who's going to wrap you in bubble wrap and protect you from the wind and the airplanes in the sky and the rain and all that? Who's going to do all that?
I know it. And this is true. I hope they arrest anyone involved in any way at Delphi. I'm so angry at these predators, and that was something that with the Delphi case specifically is the catfishing that goes on, not just in this case, but the legacy that Abby and Libby have of that has brought attention to the catfishing, and what can go on, and is a example of how parents can show this case to their children, that Do I think that through this tragedy, lives have been saved and people have been protected? Absolutely. Um, and um, uh, and I have to give it to the family that they've gone out there um, and uh, and made it where it is known that this can happen, these terrible tragedies, and that these predators out there, and and our kids are so gullible that and you give these predators a shot that they will absolutely exploit every avenue, and they'll strike without, you know, they're subhuman. They have no more feelings than a rattlesnake or a rabid dog, and I have more respect for a rattlesnake and a rabid dog than I do these predators.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they could be your next door neighbor. They definitely don't wear T-shirts that tell you they're predators.
I've had the pleasure of running into a couple of them.
Well, I have too.
And they negotiated their surrender. Here's one of my, this is part of our search team. I can't believe I've been paying real money for 3 months to hang out with you, Lester. Take that as a compliment it is. What a group of members I have.
Hello, Christina.
Yes, absolutely brilliant. And her and her sister, they were part of our search team that went out to Texas. And we have a play of names that I called. The reason she calls me every name other than my name is that for our first 24 hours of working in close proximity and trying to get everything organized during the search, I don't think I called her by the same name uh, more than once in 2 or 3 days. I called her by every name that, and she answered. And so from that point on, I became every name that's ever been known to man.
Probably a few that you didn't even pronounce right.
That's right.
Like program.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I text, just so you guys know, I texted Steve the other day, and I used phenon.
Yeah.
I spelled smart, SMAHT, and he didn't understand what I was trying to say. He had to send back to me and ask me what that meant.
Yeah. Yeah, he put a question mark behind it, and I said, "What in the world did I put that somewhere? Where did my autocorrect throw that into a sentence?"
Until you read it out loud, then it makes sense because it's coming from me. I put smart, just like program. When you first said that, I honestly didn't know what you said.
Oh, man. Yeah. Oh, let's see what's going on here. True Crime Fangirl, good to see you. Black Widow, Molly, Anna Lizette, good to see you. Robin, let's see if there's any more. Steve, you might need extra body armor if Ruckus is around. I've got some right back there. Now, I don't think we're going to need it on this trip. Well, unless Ruckus has anything planned I'm not aware of.
There's no telling. It won't be on purpose. I never do this stuff on purpose now. But, you got a cargo van this time. And I've only got that same 10 pieces of luggage plus the just barely small enough for carry-on. That's all I'm bringing.
Part of the things he told me he needed tonight, of course, was the distilled water. He needed a coat because it might be cold up there, and things of that nature. I mean, what? You're how old? 60 years old. You don't have a coat,
dude. I live in Florida. I have a windbreaker. I'm bringing a windbreaker, but I don't have a jacket. I don't have a need for a jacket. I'm in Florida. When it gets cold here, I put socks on with my flip-flops. That's my cold weather gear.
Well, Anna Lizette has an idea of how we can best use you. The way Ruckus breaks things, police ought to insert him into some of these catfishing rings. In short order, maybe their whole structure will be destroyed.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it without even trying. But you guys need to understand something. This phenomena only happens when I'm around Steve. Not all the time, not with everybody, only with Steve. This stuff get tore up. So I'm not touching anything. I'm keeping my hands in my pockets the whole trip.
Oh me. Here's Dave. These predators should be available for patent practice. Oh man.
That's not a bad idea.
Let's see here. What else we got going? See if anybody has any questions. Boo Sheet says, I don't think anyone seen that the CBI posted today about the Susan Morphew. Steve, will you check it out? No, I hadn't seen anything on that today, but yes, I'll look at that. Thank you. Let's see here.
And before you fire up that vehicle tomorrow, I just want to make sure it's not a pink jacket, right? It's not a pink camouflage jacket or anything like that.
Yeah, I own a lot of pink camouflage. What makes you think I would even own a pink camouflage jacket?
You would go buy one just to make me wear
it. Sash Brady says, why do you think Evansdale remains unsolved after all this time with little suggestion that will change? Why doesn't it have a higher profile? When law enforcement starts working these cases, you don't start investigations, or law enforcement never starts investigations with the belief that it's going to be 10, 11 years down the road. If we look at what happened with the Delphi, which is very similar to some of the a very similar crime as what occurred with Evansdale, that when you look at what Ives said in the early days, that we looked at the crime scene, we saw things, and there was no one part of that investigation that thought that, oh, this won't be solved. We'll have this solved and someone in jail within a few days. And all investigations start off that way. And if they don't, you it's not a good thing to be starting from ground zero and you have no idea. And sometimes that happens because you'll find victims that you have, we have cases in our part of the country, whereas there's still unidentified individuals, even with the advances that have come along with DNA, and have some of these unidentified victims have gone through the DNA process of being identified, and it just hasn't gotten to that point where all victims are identified. And so you're looking at some of these cases from 20, 30 years ago that they have no idea but who they are. But when law enforcement starts these cases, and you find a case that with Evansdale specifically, that the abduction happened in one county. The victims weren't found for 7 months, and then they were found 20 miles away in another county. And now we have a separation of investigative teams, a separation of communities, and separation of who could be the suspect that would have knowledge of these two communities. While you think that might narrow the scope some, it, and it does, for the fact that it makes it absolutely plain that whoever committed that crime is from that community. They were there, and they were aware of the bike trails in Evansdale, and they were aware of the Seven Bridges Refuge and how to get to those locations. As Ruckus will tell you, what's one of the most outstanding things that, since you've been to both areas, Ruckus, that leads you to believe that the individual responsible for that crime is from those communities?
The remoteness. If you don't know where you're going, I would never be able to find Seven Bridges. And I would drive right by the Monon High Bridge trails 5 times before I figured out how to get to them. So both of those locations are somebody that definitely knew these remote areas. That's why I say they're not connected as well.
Yes, and I agree with you. Now, as far as why it doesn't have a higher profile, um, it started, a lot of the newer cases. Now, if this case occurred tomorrow, such as this, I think it would be one of the most uh, promoted, talked about, discussed, and you'd have the whole world's eye on this case. And I wish we could do that for this case. And we try to do everything we can to keep it in the spotlight as much as possible. But um, there's so many cases, and there's so much evil out there, and there's children going missing every day, and uh, and we get focused on all the newer, closer, bigger cases, and so I don't, to me, this is, of course, one of the highest profile cases that I'm involved in, for the fact that um, I'm invested in it and I want to see results. And I believe you are in the same category, correct, Ruckus?
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely. But you also have to think this way. Yes, it's been a long time and it doesn't seem like there's any movement, but we don't know what's going on with law enforcement. They're doing a very good job of keeping what they know close to the vest. But you have to look at Delphi. For 5 years, if, and this is a big if, please don't nail this down to me, if Richard Allen is found guilty, and he did do this, then he was there for 5 years working at CVS and lived right down the street from the crime scene. It could be the same kind of situation in Evansdale. It could be somebody like that. They just have to get the right evidence to put it together. Just sometimes it just takes time. You got a $20 donation from Lake Michigan to go towards Ruckus Camouflage. Don't chat often, but enjoy your chats, Mr. Steve. I don't need camouflage. I'm so skinny and small. I blend right into whatever environment I'm in. I can hide behind the thinnest trees.
Boo Sheet says, because I'm not green, you can't acknowledge me. If I missed something, I'm by myself tonight, Boo Sheet. I apologize if I missed a question or anything. That's not my intent. Um, Mrs. Steve's not here, and without Mrs. Steve, this Google machine overwhelms me. So you just have to bear with me. But if you have a question, hopefully I won't. And I'm not ignoring you because you're not green. No. Um, I appreciate everyone that's a part of this channel, from the views to the comments to the thumbs up.
I'm trying to help out as well, Steve. I have it up on the TV now so I can read the chat as it goes. I put that in there. So I understand where you're coming from. I get a lot of flack from people saying that I say hi too much to people in chat and stuff like that. I try and acknowledge everybody. If they're going to take the time out to join me and discuss things, then I want to at least acknowledge them.
Oh, I try to, but well, Mrs. Steve, she goes in there and makes sure all the questions, and we try to do our fair share. But I have my days and my moments. I'm like today. Molly says, "Have you true crime? Do you bring bail money to get Ruckus out of the pokey?" No. He gets in the pokey. He stays in the pokey. I'm gonna auction off his things.
Well, you can believe this. If I'm in the pokey, the first thing I'm going to say to Steve is, "I'm glad you're sitting here next to me, buddy. I ain't going down by myself."
Let's see here. What else we got going? And I'm trying to get to. All right. Kemosabe says, it's rumored the bullet at Delphi was found by a TV reporter and it was stuck in the ground. Wouldn't CSI have used a metal detector on the scene? Is the position of the bullet important? I don't know. There's so much that we don't know about the crime scene. Um, and, of course, we have search warrants that have hinted at certain things. We have the 136-page report that has hinted at certain things that have been spoke of. And you would think that absolutely CSI would have used a metal detector, and they may have, and they just missed it. Things happen, even with metal detecting. Not everyone finds everything. Not defending law enforcement or anything, but it does occur. Mistakes happen at these crime scenes, and you try to minimize them and you try to learn from them. Now, if was I able to use metal detectors on all my crime scenes? No. Did I ever have where we had people that could, and did we? Yes. And typically those were in shooting situations. But some of the knife fights and the edge weapon homicides and things, um, you saw everything there. And now in this outdoor scene, I would have probably thought that they would have used some type of metal detecting in case you had a knife blade that might, or an edge weapon that might have broken, or there could have been a some type of edge weapon that could have been dropped and lost in the leaves. So I expect they would have, but they may have missed something as small as of a bullet. Um, just don't know. But the position of the bullet, probably not. As long as the bullet isn't disfigured to the point that it can't be um, analyzed and checked for characteristics that can identify it to a certain weapon, then the position of it probably is not that important.
There's been a lot to do about this unspent round that they found. I've heard that it was buried, and if it was buried, that implies that it was buried for a reason, um, purposely, and which also implies a planting, a setup. I discussed this with Chemo on Frank's channel earlier. I surmise just because it's been turned into evidence and all that, that there's a good chain of custody. I don't see why they would turn it into over to evidence if they did not have a good chain of custody. So whenever it was found, I'm not positive when they found it, who found it, was it buried or not. I just was able to surmise by the fact that it's turned into evidence and the evidence has been turned over to the defense, that they definitely do have a good chain of custody. Do you agree with that?
Yes. I mean, there's evidence found all the time. I mean, you have people not only at crime scenes, but other areas and from crimes in years past. People go out magnet fishing and pull guns out. And of course, they're sent to the crime lab and they're fired. And if there's other bullets out there that have the same characteristics, they link them to crimes from years past. That's common. So anytime evidence can be found, and oftentimes that is the case, you'll find missing phones from other victims. And the river search that happened regarding the Delphi case, um, I'm sure there was evidence recovered from the river. It had nothing to do with Delphi, but it had something to do with other crimes, because rivers they are collection grounds for criminals to get rid of evidence. Here's a question. I thought the rib from Texas would be destroyed by the testing. Was that not the case? Only partial part of the rib was. I The reason I'm going by to get the remaining part of it is, and although they're 100% sure that it is the rib bone is non-human, is pig, I still always in the back of my mind, I just don't want to ever destroy any type of evidence, and it'll be in the files forever. But no, they did not destroy the whole bone. I was very proud of them. Anna Lizette says, True Crime Web, Ruckus. Remember the quilted shirt jackets I have recommended for cold climates? The feel in those are great with weather changes, etc. I have 2 light jackets I'm going to take for him. And actually, had spoken to some people from Idaho when Chris and I went up there. And that's what saved Chris from freezing to death mostly, is that I had enough clothing I took. I took enough for a worst case scenario ice storm coming in. And Chris like froze to death. He's from Utah, and I thought he would have enough clothing. But we was at 7,500 feet up there at Timber Creek, and it got quite cold at night up there. And fortunate, I had enough clothing for him. And so I have enough clothing for Ruckus too. So I see that a lot of people are commenting, Ruckus, that they think you're masculinity enough to wear pink if I brought pink.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I look good in anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you look good in.
Oh, I'm trying to keep up with chat here as well with you.
Yeah.
Did you get to that super chat yet? I mean, I announced it for you, but I don't know if you even
No, I
went
hadn't
to it
got
yet.
to the latest one. I'm still going down through there. Producers, I want both of you to get plenty of sleep, be well rested before going on your road trip. Order from headquarters, over and out. Thank you, Purdue. And hopefully we'll get by there. Stop in, have some coffee.
Absolutely. And 26, 1026. I don't know if you guys use that one. That means message received. You say 26.
No, no, we just used 10-4 on those. 10-4 was a big one. We tried to keep it as simple as we could.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
We are in Georgia.
Yeah.
True Crime Web from Bama. Did you see that some of the guards of Richard Allen did have patches on their uniforms? And this is something that had to come along after my career, because everything that we had on back in our day was sewn on. We didn't have any Velcro. And I'm taking that this is maybe possibly what occurred. Is that your understanding, Ruckus?
Yeah, we discussed this too earlier. When I was around, and I don't know, I don't know how they did it around your way, but even how if a law enforcement officer or if a firefighter passes away, you put the black band on your badge. Did you guys do that?
No, say that again, sir.
When a law enforcement officer passes away, you put
Oh,
the
yes.
black band around your
Yeah,
badge.
yeah. We put the black ribbon on. Yes.
Yeah. Now, back when I retired, no wait, you got to remember, we couldn't even do that until the memo came out allowing us to do so. So I don't know how much things have changed, but you can't just put anything you want on a uniform. I wouldn't imagine whether you work in a prison, on the road, in a jail.
Yeah.
I don't think you can just put whatever you want on your uniform. But now they have these Velcro vests and stuff like that. So it would be easy to put a Velcro patch on there and take it off if you wanted to do that.
The only Velcro we had was later on in our career, once we got some newer uh, SWAT gear that had a lot of Velcro stuff. But originally, before we even had all the SWAT gear and everything that came along, that uh, dead man drags and the Velcro surfaces, that if they didn't issue it, it did not go on your uniform.
Yeah.
That came from everything from the lettering of what department you was with, to the badge, to your name tag, and your rank, and that was it. And it had to be issued. Otherwise, you didn't get it.
And you had to put it exactly where they tell you to put it, like your name tag and your badge.
Oh, yes.
But the only Velcro I even experienced, Steve, at all was our ballistic vests. That was it.
Yeah, yeah. There's some Velcro on that one, but it's not made for any type of patches. And that was us on that vest. Um, you know, now they got vests that are worn outside the uniform and are actually part of the uniform. Uh, our career and my career was all pre of that. Um, no one ever thought about putting the vest on outside the uniform.
Yeah, they call them Molly vests, and everything's Velcro. You can Velcro all kinds of things to that vest. They don't wear hardly anything on their duty belt anymore. They have everything on their vest, which is nice.
Oh, yeah. Lake Michigan, $20 to go towards Ruckus camouflage. Don't chat often, but enjoy your chats, Mr. Steve. Thank you. Appreciate it. That's very kind of you. Ruckus, there's no camouflaging Ruckus. And actually, you can't, for the fact that when I took him to Seven Bridges last time, how many times do you get lost at Seven Bridges?
On 4 trips, 3 times I got lost going in there. Yeah, we went back there 4 times total, and because I was trying to use the drone and all that stuff, and I damn sure got lost coming back 3 out of the 4 times. At one time, you're like, "What the hell are you doing over there?" I said, "Hell, I don't know. I'd end up on the main street if I kept going long enough."
Oh yeah, and I'm 300 yards away, and all of a sudden I get buzzed by this um, device.
I was coming in hot.
Yeah, yeah, he's out there trying to dive bomb me with his drone.
I didn't even see you till I got around that corner. I was impressed with your ability to pilot a drone, though. I have to admit, I was impressed.
Well, you have. I've got charging up right now for. We've got a. We're going to run by. Hopefully, we get run by Delphi again on this trip, and there's more drone footage I want to do there. Are you going to bring your drone also?
If you want me to, I will.
If you want to, we got room
Okay.
for it.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I'll be able to fit it in my 10 bags now. They're already packed. I'll take a look, though. I should just start mailing my stuff to you before we go on trips. That make things a lot easier.
Mind the monsters. How far can ground penetration see through concrete for, say, true crime wheel?
Christina could answer that one.
Yes, and Christina will. There's it depends on what type of equipment you use. Is it the electrical resistivity imaging or is it GPR? And we're looking at some other equipment that as we move forward and with our channel growth and going out to look for the missing and victims, that Christine has been doing some research and trying to get a list of all the equipment that's needed and how we can proceed. But most of the times, it's not that you need to see 20 or 30 feet. These criminals, whenever they dispose of or they disturb the earth, they, you have what is these clandestine graves that are just a few feet, sometimes just inches deep. And so it's not that you even have to see the victim themselves, but these technologies are able to see the disturbed earth. And that's the amazing part of it, of that people with the credentials and the training and expertise that Carolyn possesses and able to look at those charts that she generates and creates these reports, that if we have disturbed earth and say that she has it set for extremely shallow, just 3 or 4 feet, and she doesn't have it set for 6 feet, we still are able to see that structure and the ground and the disturbed earth. And once you find the disturbed earth, then of course you can change whatever instrument adjustments you have to meet or see to see further down. But she has all that in her head, in her books, and she's able to do those. But I'm sure that, like I said, I would expect that of all the clandestine graves out there, 90% of them are 4 feet and less. Wouldn't you think, Ruckus?
Yeah. The clandestine ones? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
But
it's not
Christina and
Carolyn.
Carolyn, yeah, they're both they're smarter than us while they're asleep than we are at our best when it comes to things underneath the earth.
Yeah, and the concrete plays very little issue with it for the fact that um, there's ways of, regardless if it's with the ERI or ground penetrating radar, of how to set that machines and that equipment up to give some very interesting readings. Let's see here.
I saw that somebody asked about because we're talking about the evidence in the Delphi case. I've always questioned in hell they did not find the girls the first night they were looking. But the bullet, how and when it was collected, and also the sticks. I mean, I'm not positive on either one of those, when they were collected, how they were collected, or anything like that. But if they didn't find the bullet, I can kind of understand that. But not taking anything that was physically touching a body, to me, is crazy. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if it's touching the body and it's something that will have been placed, absolutely collect it. Better safe than sorry. I don't know what they collected and what they didn't. We don't know that much about the crime scene other than what's been described through the search warrants and the 136 pages. Um, and of course, um, we have uh, some other developments, such as what you guys think of these leaked crime photographs, legal to possess them or not. There's a lot of photographs out there, not only on this case, but on a lot of cases. And what does these photographs depict? And are they real or not? People that, of course, you have both sides that say that they don't believe that they're not accurate. But we can look at the 136 page document and what these attorneys have depicted that's in those confidential photographs. Um, they have to have some underlining foundation of truth. Um, and so I believe that uh, the answers to what's in those photographs is in those documents. And as far as legal to possess them or not, um, the discovery of this evidence that was collected by law enforcement, put in the file, and shared through discovery is done for a reason. And that reason is to make sure that we have a fair trial, that we can get some jury um, impaneled so that they can see the evidence presented in the proper context. It's not to be that it should be just thrown out there to the public at large for the public at large to analyze, look at, and reach a judgment that they may not understand what's in those photographs, because anyone can look at a photograph and they may or may not understand what they're seeing and what it means. And so we have to be very, very careful of looking at these photographs, that if they're out there, what generation are they? Have they been Photoshop? Because there's not much I can't do with a photograph, um, and and understanding that, and so we just really don't know that much about them. And I think that we need to go with what the is in the 136 page documents more than what some people looking at these photographs may or may not believe that they see in them. What do you think, Ruckus?
I agree, 100%. And I'm positive. Now, it appears that the defense is trying to bring as much of this stuff to the public as possible. I know the prosecution is not going to try this case in public. They're going to wait until it goes to trial. So the defense, probably by design, is trying to release this information. Um, for what to what end, I don't know. But this is all going to happen in trial, and I don't think the prosecution is going to play that game. So hopefully, nothing else will get leaked. If
Yeah.
you leak, if it's actual evidence, that's a no-no. Like Steve said, that's meant for trial. It's not meant for public consumption.
Yeah, it's something like I said, and of course, there's a lot of people that expect that by looking at them, it will absolutely explain everything. That's not the case. I have thousands and thousands. I've got behind me here several hundred uh, pictures of uh, in each of my murder books, and if you looked at those pictures, um, most people, of course, would focus on one thing, and they wouldn't see what other evidence is within that photograph. Um, and and I understand why people in the web sleuth world wants to see them. It's human nature that we want answers. We want to understand everything, but we have to make sure that we guarantee that these individuals, that when they go to court, that they have a chance at a fair trial, and that evidence is brought forth in the proper context. And so we just have to be very, very protective of it. And, you know, I hate that this occurred, and I hate that those images are out there, but everyone will know, and the jury will reach a conclusion in the right setting, and that's going to be in court. Let's see here.
Well said.
I appreciate that question. That's a good question. And it's going to be debated for a long time. Let's see here.
Oh yeah, this case will be debated long after the trial.
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter what the the findings of the court are and what the guilty or not guilty.
Yeah.
There will always be people that have already reached, and you know, I'm pro law enforcement, and I you know, I have a bias. You know, if when you give me a warrant to go search a property, that property is going to get searched. If you give me a warrant to go arrest somebody, that person's going to get arrested. I swore to that, and you know, it's not for me to, you know, go out and reanalyze some of that stuff. That I have enough trust in our judges and our officers that when they go and get that stuff um, and obtain those warrants, that they do it in good faith. And I hope that's the case in here. And if not, there's going to be heads will roll.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Steve, I got to get going pretty soon.
Okay.
I want to finish
Yeah, it's
packing up.
9:04, guys. But I appreciate you coming on tonight, Ruckus.
Oh, no
And
worries.
go get packed, and I'll see you in about what 7.5 hours.
No. No. Jeez. What time is it? You'll see me in about 10.5 hours.
Well, I'm gonna get up in about 7.5. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're not gonna text me when you get up?
If you want me to, I will. I'm getting up at 3.
Well, let's see, that's not that's.
I got
But
to
no,
leave at 4.
I'll see you at 7:30. That's why I meant 7.5 hours, 7:30 versus 7.5 hours now.
Okay. I'll
But
text you when I get at the baggage.
all right, looking
All
forward
right.
to it.
All right. Take care, folks.
See y'all. Appreciate it, Ruckus. All right, I appreciate him being here tonight. Let me see if we got anything else in chat. Let's see what's going on here. Does Sean says, does Ruckus or Mr. Steve know a man by the name of J.J. Arms? Nope, never heard of him, but I'll look at him. I like people that are successful. All right, appreciate everybody being here. I'm a sin. Get Ruckus blinders to wear while you're driving. Thank you for your support. Appreciate it. Oh, me. This will do nicely. Do you think that the leaked photos, if real, could harm the case? No, not really. Uh, but like I said, we don't want to just for people to be out there and possibly influencing or um, because we've seen every time that with the search warrants where it's taken us, and with some of the transcripts that came out with where it's taken us, and what would those photographs do? It'd take us down And would it bring interest to the case? Would there be, would it be on every, absolutely ever true crime creator out there? On a lot of them. And what purpose would it serve for it? Because there's nothing that we can do as individuals about this case. Our judicial system says it has to be done in court. And so we'll get those photographs in court to the right people. So I understand the curiosity. I mean, I've looked at thousands and thousands of crime scene photos, and I understand the curiosity. Oh, me, Molly, she wants Ruckus to hitchhike. Is it illegal to possess some of the leaked photos? I don't know. I don't know why it would be or not. If you didn't do anything to get them illegally, and no, I don't. Because there's you know, I guess if you bought them or something, it might be. All righty, guys. Well, I appreciate everybody that supported the channel. Uh, the and uh, and for all y'all's input, comments, and looking forward to being on the road this week. Like I said, I got some important business to take care of. Got to get that DNA to the lab or for processing, and hopefully we can get a DNA profile off this latest piece of evidence. And then I've got to go pick up some other previous tested evidence, and then head over to Indiana and look forward to working with some of these families as we move forward. But we want to thank everybody for being here tonight, for your comments, your respect, and for your questions. And but y'all stay safe out there. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it, and looking forward to seeing y'all soon. So stay safe out there, guys. See you soon.